Hi, I'm 6 minutes late. I'm sorry. Hi, how are you all? It's Monday night and you've got the edge of my washing. There you go. Hi, Carly Gudgeon. How are you, darling? Wine this evening. Carly Gudgeon, how are you, darling? How's your paw? Hope you're all right. Hi. So, hello, lovely. How are you all doing? What the blue blazes is going on with the weather? It's just madness. And I've got a flipping 5k run to do tomorrow. And if it doesn't flipping thaw by then, there'll be friggin' hell to play. Lots of F words. But I am going to do my 5k run tomorrow. And then it's going to be, yeah, totally wine. It's been one of those weekends. Sorry, I'm just trying to get comfortable. Sorry, I was a bit late to this one because... because I was just explaining to my 7-year-old about how you can use relaxation techniques to get yourself to sleep at night, so you're not madly reading Roald Dahl until 9 o'clock, which is what he was doing last night, and then he was really friggin' miserable this morning. Hi, Tina Gardner. How are you, lovely? Ladies, now you're here. I'm having a bit of a hair issue. It's very long and scraggy, and I'm going to get it cut for my birthday. I'm thinking about a fringe. I don't know, what do you think? I'm thinking about a fringe. If I sit like this, I might be... No, that's not any more comfortable. Look, I'm just going to do this and sit here in this way. This is when you identify that you probably should have not been 6 minutes late and you should have been ready to go, and then I could have got into a slightly more comfortable position before then. Anyway, hi. Now then, is that Natalie Stringer joining or is that Mr. Natalie joining? I'm not sure. I'm very excited, ladies, that we have Mr. Natalie Stringer who joins us on Monday evenings, which I'm very excited about. And Nat messaged me earlier to say that she's going to be a bit late today, and but that if she is Mr. Hello, Mr. Natalie, how are you? It's nice to have you here, my friend. Nice to have you. And wine. It's very exciting. I'm just going to take a little slurp. And then, given that it's already flipping 8 past, I'm going to kick off, I think. How's the world? How's Hastings? How's south of Tunbridge Wells? You lovely people who are down there. I'm not going to sit and wait for you because I think my connection might be a bit slow. So I'm going to go. Let's go. So today's session, the point about today's session, because a couple of times in the last week, I've been asked about what actually is involved in a hypnobirthing course, and I wrote a blog about it, which then couldn't be used, unfortunately, but it's on my website, and I'm basically cribbing what was in the blog for this session tonight. So I am just going to kick off with a little bit about what we cover overall in the hypnobirthing thing, and then at the end we're going to do a bit of myth busting, because there are, I think, a lot of the reasons that women feel anxiety and fear when they're preparing for their births, and also, while we've got Mr. Stringer on board, a lot of birth partners and a lot of men who are involved in birth feel a lot of pressure, is because there are all these horrid kind of unkind myths around birth that are perpetuated, and it's frankly not set up as a particularly lovely thing. So we're going to end today's session just blowing a couple of those out of the water, which would be quite nice. And I am going to kick off with the chicken thing. So I am regularly asked. Oh, Luke is fine. Okay. I don't know. You're a bit like Mr. and Mrs. May. I quite like the idea that I can only ever refer to you. Or do you remember Dennis Thatcher in Private Eye? They used to refer to him in that strange Mr. Thatcher kind of way. Anyway, I'm going to move on back to my chicken thing. So one of the things that I often hear when people find out what I do, and it's particularly when we're at parties, or if you're out for lunch or you're meeting people, so they're not really expecting this, they're expecting me to say what I used to do, which is marketing, or one of the other slightly less confounding jobs. And you say, oh, you're a birth coach, you do hypnobirthing, and I'm like, you're not going to make me cluck like a chicken, are you? And it's just, that's the kind of unhelpful reputation that hypnobirthing has got for itself. And I think it's the hypnosis bit that people find a bit challenging. It feels a little bit woo, a little bit off mainstream, a little bit hippie, maybe, that you have to be a particular type of person to be able to find some resonance with that. And people can find it a bit off-putting. And I think it's probably fair to say that some of the slightly older methods, because there's more than one method, so lovely Natalie, wife of Mr. Natalie, teaches a wise hippo method, as does the lovely Carly. And there's also the Catherine Graves method, and there's the Marie Mongan method, which is sometimes known as the original type of hypnobirthing course. And I think some of the older methods can be a bit prescriptive and a bit sort of focused on an unmedicated, unassisted birth as being the goal. And that is, I think, sometimes a bit off-putting for people, because who wants to be told what it should be like? I mean, we spend like slightly more contemporary hypnobirthing instructors like me and Natalie and Carly would spend all of our time saying there's no right way to do it. The only right way to do it is the way that's for you. So that's kind of probably the misconceptions that people have about it. And actually, even the people that come to me, that make direct inquiries to me, they don't always really know what's involved in the course either. They've heard that hypnobirthing can improve birth outcomes, or women talk positively about having had a hypnobirth, and actually positive doesn't really cover it quite often. It's as more than just positively. People can be euphoric about it, and I think that's what the mumsy mum said today about this feeling of euphoria, and that's something that I can report, having had mine, and lots of other women would say that that period of time after they've had their baby, they're not necessarily exhausted and knackered and recovering, but often feeling really pretty fucking amazing as well. Should I take another little slug of my wine while I'm moving it across the table? I hope you all got glasses of wine. I know it's Monday night, but I cooked with it today. It's my excuse. Cooked with wine. Once you've opened the bottle, you may as well drink it, frankly. It goes off, you know. It hasn't got a long shelf life at all. It's ridiculous. Don't listen to what people tell you. So people can feel a little bit unsure about what a hypnobirthing course actually is. Oh, hey, Natalie Stringer. Ciao. You're here. Good to see you, lady. I hope you had a good evening and things are good. I've got wine. It was your fault because you suggested it earlier. So here I am. I always listen to what you say. So people can be put off a little bit by the sense that hypnobirthing might be a bit woo or a bit whir or a bit off mainstream or a bit random, or they might feel that they're concerned that they're not going to be able to resonate with what's going on. But actually the courses are surprisingly rational and pragmatic. Yes, they are, ladies and gentlemen. And lovely Natalie Stringer refers to her hypnobirthing course as the complete or a complete antenatal course. And that's what it is. It covers the whole 9 yards. Of course it does. And it is based on the physiology of birth and understanding the physiology of birth. And kind of, you got to think about it. You are the peak of evolution, friends. You know, you are the end of this long line of birthing women. Evolution has put us in the position where we give birth to live babies because that's the best way to do it. So, you know, we are kind of there. We're kind of ready to rock and roll. If you understand the physiology of birth, everything that nature and evolution has given you, thank you. Everything that nature and evolution has given you. So you think about, you know, the way that physically we're designed, so that gravity is our friend, and you think about the way that the hormones work together, so that they are working to optimize everything that's going on in your body. How can you not feel positive about your birth when you have all of that information to hand? And those are really rational, pragmatic, practical bits of information to have to hand. And I think the other thing that hypnobirthing courses do that is surprisingly practical and pragmatic and rational is they help you find your own course. Or really good hypnobirthing instructors will help you find your own course. Physiology education is usually the light bulb moment for clients, as Carly says. Yeah, totally. Because that's the moment when it stops being this slightly left field thing that somebody does, and is it going to work for me? Because that's a lot that people wonder about, is it going to work for me? Am I going to be able to buy into this woman rattling on and talking about hypnosis? And actually, once it stops being about hypnosis and it starts being about, did you know this is how your body works? Then that's the moment that it all slots into place. Because once you have that framework, everything else that we say about birth, about the environment and about birth partners and about asking questions of medics and midwives and about making plans and planning to shift your plans and there not being any such thing as the right birth on the day, all of that falls into place once you understand the physiology, in my view. Anyway, the other thing that the hypnobirthing courses do is they help you find your own path. So good hypnobirthing instructors, good hypnobirthing courses shouldn't be pushing you down the path of, this is how you birth, this is how you behave when you're pregnant, these are the things that you do or you don't do. What they should be doing is helping you to unpick what your kind of existing preconceptions are, identifying which ones are your preconceptions. Hey Denise, how you doing? Lovely, nice to see you. You're seeing me, I'm not seeing you, but you know what I mean. It's good to see you, we need to catch up. So they help you unpick which of your preconceptions are yours and which are cultural and which are contextual. And there's a lot to unravel in pregnancy and birth. There is a lot about culture and the way that culture deals with pregnancy and women and birth. And there's a whole lot about, this is my massive soapbox at the moment, there is a whole lot about feminism and how we prepare women for their lives and equip them with adequate tools for these transformative moments, or actually don't equip them with any tools at all and then are surprised when they're traumatized. And also there's about relationship dynamics. I had lunch with a friend of mine on Friday, and she said, I never had to think about feminism until I was a mother, because up until that point, she felt that everything had gone her own way. She had nothing to fight against. She had no system to buck against. You know, she's, well, like me, you know, white, slightly middle class woman, well educated, fairly bright. She had nothing to complain about. It's only when you enter that path of motherhood that actually you have to start thinking far more about what the realities of your gender mean and how you're treated by that close, intimate circle around you and by society at large. Anyway, I'm very much in danger of getting on that particular soapbox at the moment, so I'm going to knock that on the head. And I'm going to move on to what I, in my moment of genius this morning, described as the Fab Four. So kind of the four things that you cover in a hypnobirthing course. I'm going to kick off with mindset, and then after mindset, we're going to talk about body confidence. Then after body confidence, we're going to talk about the tools, skills, and techniques that you learn. And then we're going to talk about practical hints and tips. And then I'm going to wrap up. In my mind, it was going to be at 8:30, but it's already 20 past 8, so it's going to be lighter than that, boys and girls. And then we're going to wrap up with a bit of myth busting and some stuff for you to do during the week to make you feel zen-like and ready for birth. So the mindset stuff, how do you change your mindset, right? Most people come to hypnobirthing. I'm just going to shift that slightly. There we go, because I'm knocking the laptop. Most people come to hypnobirthing because of how they feel. So they're attracted to hypnobirthing because they are interested in how they feel, what their approach is to their birth, right? And, how do you change your mindset? Well, so I'm looking down at my notes down here, by the way, so that I wasn't just sitting here for an hour rattling on at you. I have actually given myself some sort of scripty direction. So how do you change your mindset, right? Changing mindset is the same in pregnancy and birthing as it is in career coaching and executive coaching and sports psychology and sports coaching and all that kind of lark, right? So it's a little bit of confidence, and confidence comes from knowledge and understanding what's going on. It's a little bit of practice. So repeating the same thing, whir, click, whir, click, whir, click, until it becomes second nature, and you don't even have to think about it anymore. It becomes part of who you are, and a little bit of vision and having a clear objective. And I'm going to start with that vision, clear objective thing, because that really, in birth, more than any of the other fields of coaching, I think, is the biggest one to overcome. Because our cultural image of birth, our cultural model of birth is madly negative, right? It's all about this ordeal that women have to suffer and overcome, right? And it's not the case. No one's going to lie and say that birth is a total walk in the park, because it isn't. And it's also different for every woman, and also you don't know what it's going to be like on the day. And anybody who tells you that it's going to be a particular way, or you're going to experience in a particular way, is selling you some snake oil. The reality is you don't really know how it's going to rock and roll, right? So the thing about the vision is understanding what a good birth looks like for you. And really the context, I'm going to keep going back to Anne Drapkin-Lyerly and her research at Duke University in, I want to say 2005, but I might have to revise that. And her intention was to understand what the common thread for women who report a good birth is. And when she went into that research, she was expecting it to be natural labour, so no inductions, drug-free, no intervention, straightforward natural delivery, and no subsequent assistance. And actually, that's not what she discovered in the course of her research. What she discovered was that the linear thread that ties all of those things together is about women feeling supported and listened to and respected and heard, and making really informed decisions. And remember that informed decisions are not just somebody asking you, is it okay, is it not okay? It's not a binary yes or no answer. It's about truly understanding what the situation is and what options are available to you. So being able to model that is not that easy in our culture. So a lot of what we do is signposting to books to read, footage to watch, people to talk to, groups to engage it. So groups like The Positive Birth, books like Millie Hill's Positive Birth, and obviously my own dear one, which
is the lovely Susie Ashworth and the Calm Birth Method. And obviously I would also say go and have a look at Anne Drapkin-Lyerly, I think, about her book. Because honestly, it's a great read. It's a really good read. Whether you're going to have more kids or whether you're done, it's a really interesting way of reflecting on what your birth was like for you. The other thing is about practice. This is much harder because you can't really practice birth. You can't really, but you can start to put yourself in those situations, or kind of run through those situations. You know, what's the best case scenario? What's the worst case scenario? How are you going to manage in between? Why is it the best case scenario or the worst case scenario? What is it about those things that makes you feel warm and fluffy and lovely, that you've got something to aspire to, or that you feel anxious and fearful and afraid of? What is it about those things that is important to you? And even if things don't go the way that you have planned or you had hoped, how could you apply that to the new thing, to the new process, the new way it rocks on the day? And I have particularly within that is this issue with language. You know, we often talk about, things going wrong, that birth went wrong, or that's when it all went wrong. I don't know. Should we talk about wrong? Wrong's a really pejorative term, isn't it? I mean, is it wrong, or is it just what happened on the day? Is that just the way that your birth turned out? Because if you're applying a judgment to it, that kind of suggests that it's not right, or it's not perfect, or you're applying a judgment to it in some way. So looking at language and really understanding what words mean. Oh my God, did Charlie Guy just join this live? Freaking hell, Charlie Guy, happy bloody birthday. What are you doing watching this, love? You should be out getting hammered. Sorry, you've just popped up. I don't know if you've been and gone already, but if you've gone, I'll message you later. And if you're still there, happy birthday. Here's a little high five for you, love. I can't say what I was about to say next because I need to get her consent before I say it, but I want to talk about that later. So that's a big thing that we cover in the hypnobirthing, is about the mindset and about understanding what is a good model for you, and how you can get there, and how you cope with things changing and shifting and moving, and how you unpick some of those cultural bits and pieces. The next thing is about body confidence. And let me show you in my notes, hilariously, there's shed loads of here, and the body confidence bit is at the bottom, and it just says, there you go, body confidence, hormones, gravity, knowledge, no-brainer. Done. Boom. As the lovely Susie Ashworth would say, it kind of is. The body confidence thing is almost the easiest thing to cover, and that is when Natalie Stringer talks about antenatal preparation. That is it. One of the slightly unnerving things that I discovered the other week is there is no NHS provision. There is no free NHS provision for pregnant women preparing for birth around here at the moment. So if you want to get really good antenatal education, there's a possibility that sometimes the local trust runs parent craft classes, or you're going to NCT, or you're coming to see one of us. But really that means for lots of us, we haven't sat down and really thought about how our bodies worked, for lots of us, since we were doing GCSE biology when we were 16. And the whole of our kind of cultural environment tells us that birth is this thing that happens and that we have no control over it. And that's not true. You know, everything about your body, if you understand how the hormones work, and that the hormones, it's a bit like doing an exam, right? The hormones are there to help you. They're there to help you survive, because a baby needs a mother, and they're there to help your baby survive, because your baby is the continuation of the species. It's evolution in it. And if you understand how those hormones work effectively, and you understand the environment that those hormones work most effectively in, you can do kind of anything in your power to augment it. And even if you don't understand that, even if you are ready to rock up at the hospital, say, thank you very much, where's my epidural? I'm going to go for an elective section, which, if that's right for you, is a totally valid choice, by the way, then you should still be proud of your body. Your body has made another freaking human being. It's made another organ in the placenta, right? One of the hormones that kicks off during birth, or is most active during birth, is prolactin. Once you've carried and nourished this baby and built this baby for 9 months, you're then going to feed it from your own body. That is amazing. We don't do enough of being really respectful and having a load of reverence for what women's bodies can do. And actually we should be walking in front of pregnant women, scattering rose petals in their path and lobbing donuts at them to eat, because that's what I like when I was pregnant, so I'm going to go for donuts. But we should really be a lot more respectful of pregnant bodies, and not necessarily in that fluffy, lovey-dovey, oh, you know, it's so amazing, but in like a really practical, pragmatic way. Though bodies are amazing, like evolution is really good. It's here to help us out. Let's just be really positive about it. Yeah? Oh God, I've got a whole series of emotions coming from somebody or more than one person. It's a very exciting flurry of flowers and a crossface as well, which makes me a bit nervous. So point 3, or the third kind of thing of the Fab 4 that we cover, are tools, skills and techniques. This is kind of where the hypno thing comes in, but it is only a small part of it. You know, the hypnosis is about the problem with hypnosis is it sounds like somebody is doing something to you. And if you've ever watched Derren Brown or Paul McKenna, or when you're a student you went and watched one of the stage hypnotists in the Union Bar or whatever, it looks mad and ridiculous, and it's all designed like that. In the context of what we do, it really is no more than guided relaxation. That's all it is. So all our voices do is allow you to relax your muscles, give you the space and the time to tune your body and your brain in together. And it puts you into this lovely, relaxed, suggestible state where you can dispatch the stuff that isn't useful to you anymore, and you can dial up and tune into the stuff that is useful and important to you, right? Like, I'd really like to have a good birth, please. And because of the mindset work I've done, I've now got a really good model for that. And because of the body confidence stuff, I'm pretty clear about how I can take control of the environment and help that to happen, or put myself in the best space for that to happen. So that's where the hypno stuff comes in. There's also the really effective breathing techniques, like learning how to be relaxed, because we talk about, we have this, again, we talk about relaxation all the time, but it's often in the context of, you go off on a spa day or a holiday or run a bubble bath or whatever. But we don't actually think about what does it mean and can we adopt that as a useful habit. And it is a habit, just like everything else. It's like learn how to do it, practice how to do it. It's like the whir click thing I was saying earlier on, like do it again, click, do it again, click, do it again, click. And the more you do it, the easier it is to access, the more confident you are in how it feels. One of the things about when you're doing hypnosis or deep relaxation with people for the first time or the first couple of times is they get this thing about, how should I be doing it? Should I be lying still? Should I be lying down? Should I have my eyes open or closed? There is no right or wrong way. It's just the way that feels good to you. And practicing helps you identify that, right? So that is those are some of the tools and techniques that we use. And I've made a note for myself that I can't read. So the thing about proving that you can relax and doing the practice is that it helps you to promote all those lovely hormones. So many of those hormones, like oxytocin, like prolactin, like relaxin, are all hormones that respond best in those cozy, dark, comfy, warm, lovey environments, right? So practicing how to do it is really, really important. And the other thing that helps you to do is it helps you to address all of those emotions that come up around pregnancy and birth, right? And some of those emotions are like hormonal reactions. I've been pregnant 5 times, and I know what hormones do to your state of mind and to your sort of emotional state. It can be a total friggin' roller coaster, particularly when you're late in pregnancy and you can't sleep and you can't move and you're massive and the pressure is starting to build, and suddenly this kind of deadline is moving closer. Those can be really difficult times to manage. But there are also all sorts of other things that come up in your pregnancy, and some of those are really positive emotions, and some of them are not so positive emotions. Anxiety is a totally normal feeling to have during pregnancy, particularly in the later stages, right? This is like, nobody's here to say, or you at all times you should be skipping down the road and singing and dancing your way into it, right? That, like, anxiety is totally normal. And being able to tune into that and manage that, there's a little bit of feel it, name it, recognize it, dispatch it, and move through and have the control to do that. And again, that is kind of a learned habit. It's a learned technique. And that's why in all of the hypnobirthing courses that you'll take, whether it's Calm Birth, Wise Hippo, Catherine Graves, or any of the smaller programs, they all have kind of homework that they'll send you off to do. So it's listening to MP3s, it's doing relaxation techniques with your birthing partner, thinking about some of those questions that I've raised earlier on during the course of this, and just thinking things through. It's like really addressing stuff. You've got to do the work to get the outcome. It's no different in birthing than anything else. And then the last thing that kind of people maybe don't expect from a hypnobirthing course is all the practical stuff, like the practical preparation for birth. So things like the birthing partner, right? These poor birthing partners who are, without any antenatal preparation at all, lobbed into hospitals with a woman who's really focused on what's going on. And, hospitals are institutions with the best will in the world, midwives who know all about the shit that's going on and are also really tuned in to women. And then there might also be obstetricians and doctors and anaesthetists who are really medically tuned in. And we say to birth partners, your job is to support your partner. What? Without any prep. So that's one of the big things that you'll get in the hypnobirthing course is really good support and advice for the birth partner so that they've got an active role to play. and think practical things like what you will and what you won't need on the day, and what it might feel like, and how you can prepare. And the big thing as well is signposting. You know, lots of pregnancies and births are really straightforward, and sometimes they're not. And sometimes women need some more physical support, or they are needing to consider options that aren't part of your usual sort of suite of pregnancy consideration. And sometimes they need more emotional support, and sometimes they need mental health support. And there is no shame in that, let me tell you. Better to get it and move on and deal with it than to sit and suffer in silence and feel bad. So that's another thing that we do on the course, is provide lots of signposting. It's 8:37. I've done relatively well, I think. I've covered all of my 4 sort of areas that I was going to talk about. So I'm going to bang on. No, I'm not. I'm going to do this. Let me tell you, that is really well deserved. So I'm going to move on to myth busting, which is kind of the end of the session tonight for another week. Oh, thanks, Natalie Stringer. Oh, no, I'm getting loads of massive thumbs up. I love it. I'm going to take another swig because I can. So, end of tonight's session, myth busting. First one I've kind of covered, I think, already, which is about, is it possible to have a good birth experience? It is totally possible to have a good birth experience, right? And one of the things that I blatantly nicked from lovely Natalie Stringer today was the Unmumsy Mums blog post about her hypnobirth. And that is a great thing to read. It's bloody brilliant. Not least because she had 2 less than positive birth experiences before she went on to have an amazing hypnobirthing experience, which she described as ending in euphoria. You know, that's absolutely brilliant. That's a great piece of modelling, and it's a great way of demonstrating that actually good births are accessible, and they are achievable, and they are achievable for anyone. You don't have to be a particular type of person with a particular set of beliefs to buy into hypnobirthing. You just don't. You can find your own way through. The techniques that are involved in hypnobirthing courses are ones that can be applied by anyone. Trust me, I'm one of those people who started off on a hypnobirthing course thinking, oh, I don't know, am I throwing a load of money at something that I'm not going to have any resonance with? Is it going to be too hippie woo for me? I'm not really into tree hugging and chanting and spirituality. I'm more of a going out and getting a hangover type of girl. And I had an amazing experience because I found the stuff in it that resonated with me. And that's also the other thing about getting a good or finding a really good hypnobirthing instructor that you have a really good rapport and a really good connection with. Because I'm not right for everyone, right? Natalie might be right for everyone, but but you know, you've got to find the person who really works for you. Myth busting number 2. I was thinking about bodies because that was the second part of my the second of my 4. So I was thinking about body confidence. I was thinking about the myth busting thing. So if I think back to loads of hearts to you as well, lady. If I think back to the cultural stuff and the cultural images that we have of childbirth, often it's a panicky, sweaty, panting woman being rushed in a car to a hospital by a panicky, out of control, know nothing kind of guy, father figure, partner. And she's then raced along a corridor, gets to a birthing room, and immediately people start shouting at her, push, 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 push. Don't push, push, push. All right. That is what can be described as purple pushing or directed pushing. It really doesn't happen very much these days. So it's not a very healthy cultural stereotype. You don't have to buy into it. All right. Again, kind of understanding the processes of your body, understanding what an active birth is, and those really helpful positions that you might, who knows, instinctively find yourself in because you're kind of designed to do this shit. or that other people might recommend to you, or you might learn through using yoga or Pilates or anything like that. Those things are designed to help your baby out. All right. The other thing about directed pushing is you're not actually pushing. Your uterus is not a muscle that you control in the same way that you control your fingers and your face and your shoulders and all that shizzle. Your uterus is an automotive muscle. It contracts and moves based on how well the oxytocin flows. So somebody screaming push at you is not likely to be the best environment for the oxytocin to kick in. And most midwives know that. And most midwives create lovely birthing environments. Right, I had my first birth was at home, and I don't know if she's listening, lovely Susie, my midwife. I was out of the bath for a period of time, and she said, why don't you come and get back in the bath? And honestly, it's about the most romantic thing anybody has ever done for me. She'd run me this beautiful warm bath with candles around the outside and music playing. I got in the bath, it was like bliss on earth. There was no screaming in my face and yelling push, push. So if that busts that myth and alleviates any anxiety that people have about the pressure and the lack of control that some people experience in labour, I'm very happy about that. My third one, practicing relaxation. Okay, so again, one of the kind of myths around, your birthing rooms are always dim and quiet. Carly, I almost want to have another baby so that you can come and be my birth partner. Except that I'd have so many people in that room and I don't want to have another baby. But almost, it seems like a really nice idea. So, yes, number 3, relaxation. So we often think about relaxation as being this kind of passive thing that sort of happens to us. But actually, you can control your relaxation and you can control your ability to relax. So my myth-busting tip number 3 is do it. Learn how to relax. Put yourself in situations which are not normally conducive to relaxation and learn how to relax in them. Use the breathing techniques, right? You don't have to know very much. You just have to, here's a quick one for you, right? You just breathe in really deeply and out when you're ready. So you breathe up. If you want to count to like maybe 3 or 5, however quickly or slowly you want to count. And then at the peak of the breath, just take a pause and then exhale nice and slowly, usually through pursed lips, like you're blowing through a straw, is a nice way to do it. And just allow yourself to fall into a natural breathing cycle, right? And then start to relax your body from the head down. So you can break your body into little sections. So 5 might be the head to the shoulders, just thinking about all the muscles that are in your scalp and in your eyes and in your jaw and around your mouth, just relaxing all of those muscles. 4 is the neck and the shoulders and down the arms. So again, just thinking about those muscles and relaxing. 3 is your torso. So just from here all the way down through your core. 4 would be from around your hips and your bum all the way down your legs. And then 5 from your knees all the way down to your toes. And just keep doing that slow breathing. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And just letting that relaxation run through you. Try it in places where you wouldn't usually be relaxed. For example, if you're commuting, if you're sitting, Natalie Stringer, no. We don't do this with Calm Birth. I was going to say we learned it in the Wise Hippo, but it is totally a Wise Hippo. Do you know what? Actually, that is not Wise Hippo. That is Mongan method, I think. I'm going to have to go back and have a look and find out where that method is from. However, it's a fairly common relaxation method. And you can do that when you're on your commute, if you're sitting in meetings, obviously the bits of the meetings that you're not required to talk in, any environment that you're in that you don't usually find terribly relaxing, and you can find that you can be quite comfortable and quite relaxed and quite calm in that moment. And once you get into the habit of doing that and you realise that you can access that feeling of calm and that you can control it, that is a really useful thing to have in your back pocket for when you're labouring. Because doesn't always go to plan. There will be moments where you think, shit, what's happening? Because every birth is new, right? But knowing that you can relax is an amazing feeling, and it's a really empowering piece of knowledge, not just when you're birthing, by the way, but through the rest of your life. I do that with the kids. So I've got a 7-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 2-year-old. The environment in our house is often quite chaotic, sometimes a bit tense, sometimes quite punchy. But being able to apply that is something that's really useful. And actually, that was the technique that I just taught the 7-year-old when he was going off to bed tonight, to help him get to sleep, because he's very tired and he really needs to sleep tonight. Which brings me to number 4. This is not quite myth busting, but somebody asked me about this today, and I think I'm going to do a post on it tomorrow for everybody to comment on. Is how do you know when your labour starts? Because I had no real idea before I did the Mongan method what I thought the beginning of labour was going to be like. And actually, for my first labour, I spent the first hour going, is that something? Is that nothing? I don't know. I'm not sure. But I will always remember that I was watching Zoe Ball, It Takes Two, and Strictly Come Dancing, Jazz Hands. I'm just reading Nat's comment. There's lots of them. Yeah, there are loads of really good relaxation methods. And lots of ways also to know when your labour starts, because they all start in slightly different ways. So it's interesting, I think, to hear different people's stories, because, again, I think we have this kind of slight cultural view of water's gushing everywhere and it all being a bit dramatic, which it isn't always. Sometimes it's very calming and relaxing. Flipping heck, I've been banging on for 41 minutes. It's 10 to 9, people. I'm exhausted. You must be exhausted listening to me. Any questions before I go? Don't know who's still here. It's exciting. Weirdly, on my screen, I don't know if this is happening on yours, I'm getting this little line down the centre of my face, and sometimes just like that, it pauses. It's very strange. Cheers, Carly Gottram. It pauses and it makes one of my eyes point in one direction, one in the other. It makes me look very strange. It's actually slightly disconcerting. So I hope it wasn't disconcerting for you, and I hope it was a lovely evening. And thank you very much for joining you, those that did, including Mr. Natalie, also known as Luke, and all my lovely birthing, doulaing, hypnobirthing, instructoring friends. It's lovely to have you here. I'm going to call it a night. Good to see you, people. Oh, thanks, Carly. Oh, it's so good having people say lovely things like that. It's my oxytocin flowing again. Lovelies, I will see you during the week for more stuff, and I hope you all have lovely weeks, and I will speak to you soon. I'm going to do my little funny, because you can't just say goodbye and go. You then have to click end broadcast, for the love of God, honestly. It's so not slick, this. Anyway, speak to you later, lovelies. Bye.